What is going on, guys? The NBA betting market video for January the 24th. We've got some Sunday, a big slate of Sunday games, both for the NBA and the NHL. So I'm going to get through these as quickly as I can because we've got two huge NFL games going on today that you guys know I'm going to be very interested in. So let's move on to these NBA games. We'll start off with the Raptors-Pacers, 2,799 bets. This game already started. It started just over an hour ago. We have the Raptors winning by 9, it looks like, near the end of the second quarter. Let's take a look at the actual market, though. Bet percentage-wise and money percentage-wise, not a lot changed, but that spread really moved for the Pacers from -1 to -4.5 point favorites. So did the money line from -118 to -172. You can see there that 80% of the money was on the Pacers. So the book's definitely taking exposure on the Pacers and moving that line. I'm guessing that there was probably a player ruled out on the Raptors or a player coming back on the Pacers that they weren't expecting. Either way, the books are taking exposure on the Pacers, and it looks like the Raptors are up 9 points heading into the end of the first half. The OU for this game, it opened at 219. It was bet down to 217. 52% of bets were on the over. However, 77% of the money was on the under. Let's take a look at the ThunderClippers game. This one starts at 4 p.m. Eastern time, so it's about 2 hours away from tip-off from this recording. Only 491 bets, so it looks like this market hasn't been out too long. The Clippers, huge favorites, as always. 13-point favorites is what they opened at. Still 13-point favorites, but the juice has moved towards the Thunder, despite the Clippers receiving 79% of the money, but only 33% of bets. The money line, however, has moved in favor of the Clippers, so it looks like that money line and the spread line didn't come out at the same time. Either way, the Thunder right now plus 705, 36% of bettors and 28% of the money. So the book's actually taking some exposure on the Thunder money line at plus 705. 28% of the money is definitely larger than that plus 705. So books are taking exposure on the Clippers against the spread. They're taking exposure on the Thunder money line. So the best result for the books would be for the Clippers to win by 1 to 12, but only 491 bets so far. So really not enough to make a market play. On to the OU for this game. It opened at 222. It's been bet down to 221.5. 65% of bettors are on the over. However, 83% of the money has helped push that OU down half a point. On to the Cavs-Celtics game. 1,399 bets. The Celtics opened 6.5 point favorites, still 6.5 point favorites, but the juice has moved heavily in favor of the Cavs to -113 at plus 6.5. 57% of bettors are on Cleveland. However, 66% of the money is on the Celtics. So interesting to see as well in the money line. Celtics open at -227. They've been bet up to -251. Only 22% of bettors are on the Celtics. However, 72% of the money is on the Celtics on the money line. The money line, like the current line to the money percentage, is actually quite close. So there's not a lot of exposure there on the money line either way. But the books are taking exposure on the Celtics against the spread, and they have moved the juice at least heavily towards the Cavaliers. So that's a reverse juice movement towards the Cleveland Cavaliers in this one against the spread. The OU opened 215.5. It's been bet down to 212. 59% of bettors on the over, 57% of the money on the under. So it's interesting that they moved that OU 3.5 points. But it looks like the money percentages are quite even, so I think they might be happy with where that has landed. On to the Hornets Magic. 529 bets. The Magic opened as 1.5 point favorites. They've been bet down to 1 point underdogs at home. 49% of bettors and 64% of the money is on the Magic early on. So interesting to see a reverse line movement there for the Charlotte Hornets. I'm guessing that might have to do with some sort of player injury or someone not playing. So always just double check to make sure, because large line movements like this, the bets are split pretty evenly. The money is only 64% on the Magic, but they have moved the 36% of bet or money on the Hornets has moved them from +1.5 to -1. They've also moved on the money line. Magic have received 62% on the money line. So I have a feeling there was some sort of player news If there isn't, though, if you can't find any news, that looks like there's nice value on the Hornets, even as 1-point favorites or at minus 112 on the money line. Onto the OU, it opened 216. It's been bet down to It's been bet down to 213.5. 59% of bettors are on the over. 84% of the money is on the under. Wizards Spurs 643 bets, 8 p.m. Eastern time start. Spurs open as 7-point favorites, still 7-point favorites. 50% of bettors are on the Spurs, 66% of the money on the Spurs. Onto the money line, minus 285 to minus 279, 84% of money line bets on the Spurs. So the book's taking a little bit of exposure on the Spurs. However, that line has not moved, showing me there might be some value on the Wizards against the spread. And then the OU open 230.5, still at 230.5. 40% of bettors on the over, 52% of the money is on the over. So not a lot to talk about in that OU market. Hawks Bucks, this is going to be a popular game to bet. 1,134 bets so far. The Bucks opened as 7.5-point favorites. They've been bet up to 8.5-point favorites. 53% of bettors and 61% of the money is on the Bucks against the spread. So slight exposure on the Bucks against the spread. Let's take a look at the money line. Bucks open minus 282. They've been bet up to minus 352. They've only received 57% of bets at minus 352, but they do have 96% of the money. So exposure on the Bucks, both against the spread and on the money line. However, it's important to note that they've moved the line in favor of the Bucks to try to encourage bettors to get down on the Hawks. So I think they don't like this exposure on the Bucks, and they're going to try to continue to increase that spread and money line to encourage more bettors to get back on the Atlanta Hawks. The OU opened 231.5. It's been bet down to 230.5. 73% of bettors and 63% of the money has helped push that line down 1 point. And then the final game of the night, 10 p.m. Eastern time start, we have the Knicks taking on the Trailblazers, 605 bets so far. Blazers opened as 3-point favorites. They've been bet up to 4-point favorites. 53% of bettors are on the Trailblazers. 64% of the money is on the Trailblazers. Take a look at the money line as well. Minus 144 to minus 171 are the Blazers on the money line. 54% of bettors. However, 94% of the money is on the Trailblazers. So very similar to the Hawks-Bucks market, where it's about like a 65-35 split against the spread. However, it's like a 90-10 split on the money line. The books are taking even more risk on the Trailblazers money line because it is minus 171, so the payout is going to be greater. That 94% of money on the minus 171 would be greater than the 96% at minus 352. So the books are taking exposure on the Blazers, but like you can see, they've moved the line up for the Blazers. They've made the price juicier on the Knicks, so I believe they're trying to encourage people to buy back on the Knicks to try to take their exposure away from the Trailblazers. The OU for this game opened at 214.5. It's been bet up to 215. 56% of bettors and 54% of the money is on the over, helping push that one up 0.5 point. That is it, guys, for the NBA betting market for January the 24th. Good luck in your wagers in the NBA today.